All right. Well, today we're going to look at Romans chapter 7. And this passage, if you've ever been disappointed with yourself spiritually, is going to help you understand why. And Romans chapter 7, we're just going to go over a few verses today. Verse 1 says, "Or do you not know, brethren, for I speak to those who know the law, that the law has dominion over man as long as he lives?" He says, you are under the law until you die. In other words, the power of the law is there until you die. The good news is you're dead. This is why it was so important that you understood that you died with Jesus on the cross when he died, spiritually. Otherwise, you would have had the power of the law on you for your whole life. Now, that death has to be appropriated, and the way that gets appropriated is by accepting Jesus as your Savior. The thing is, a lot of us have accepted Jesus as our Savior. We just didn't know we were dead. We thought we were under the power of the law. Now, he goes on to say in verse 7, "What shall we say then? Is the law sin? Certainly not. On the contrary, I would not have known sin except the law." In other words, the law is not a bad thing. It made us aware of our sin. Until God said, do not commit adultery. Do not covet your neighbor's stuff. Love your neighbor as yourself. You know, things like this. You know what happened? We wouldn't have known we were in sin. But when he says that, he says, love your neighbor as much as you love yourself. Does that blow you away? Love your neighbor as much as you love yourself. Do you have any idea how much you love yourself? Man, we love ourselves so much. Have you ever watched yourself when you wash your hands? Here you are. You're all gentle with your hands. And it's, oh, so nice. Because you love yourself. You don't wash your hands like... No, man. We care about ourselves. And when the commandments came, we saw, wow, I'm unrighteous. I covet things that aren't mine. You know? I don't love God like I should. And so the law was a tutor for us. It showed us we couldn't make it. Now, when we talk about being under the law, what are we saying? What we're saying is, you're under the law until you die. Under the law, meaning this, that you have to try to do everything in the law to get to heaven. In other words, there's no grace for you. You're going to be judged by the law. You break one of the laws of God, you're going to hell. And if you don't keep the whole law of God, you're not righteous and you don't go to heaven. Do you want to be under the law? It's kind of like that thing you tell your kids. Oh, you want fair, do you? Okay, you think it should be fair between you guys. You know? God's saying, you want fair? You get it. The law. Until you die. And the moment of death is the moment of receiving Jesus. But when you receive Jesus, you receive his death, his burial, and his resurrection. Verse 14 says, "For I know the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin." Verse 18, "I know that in me, in my flesh, nothing good dwells. For to will is present with me, but how to perform what is good I do not find." The issue comes in after you know Jesus, and you've died spiritually. You still have sin with you. What's going on? He says in verse 18, the will to do it is present with me. That's different. That is different. The moment you receive Jesus, you get this desire to do what's right. And a battle begins. See, there's no battle before you're saved. It's just like, oh, I'm going to go sin. This is going to be fun. I can't wait. We're going to get some sin today. No, as a Christian, you have a different desire. You want to do what is right. To will is present with me. But he says in verse 18, but how to perform what is good I don't find. What is he saying there? He says in verse 19, for the good that I will do, I do not. The evil that I do not want to practice, I do. In other words, I want to do these great things, but instead I do a bunch of evil things. Why? Because in my flesh, nothing good dwells, he says. Christian, don't forget that. If ever you get to thinking that you're all that, man, God's lucky when he found you and got you. Man, nothing could be further from the truth. There's nothing good in us. Nothing. We can do nothing in our own flesh. And we have to understand that. We have to believe that. We have to declare that to God every single day. Lord, I am nothing. I need you. Because God can't use you until you've humbled yourself, until you understand your sinfulness. This battle that goes on inside of us intensifies as you become closer to God. The closer you get to God, the more you see your sinfulness. Now, this is not an excuse to say, oh, well, I still deal with the same sin that I've been dealing with for 17 years, but it's not a big deal because even Paul said, the good I want to do, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Garbage. You should be growing in your faith with Jesus, but what happens? What happens is this. You become more aware of your sinfulness. You say, oh, I'm selfish. I've got to change that. Oh, I'm sinful in this area of my life. I've got to change that. Oh, my Lord, my lips. What did I say? How can I say those things? And you become aware of it. Is that happening in your life? Are you becoming more aware? He's not saying, oh, well, it's okay to sin. No, he's saying, let the battle rage. Until you die, there will be a battle because you have the old nature, the old man, and a new nature, the new man. But feed the new man. Which dog are you going to feed? Whichever dog you feed gets bigger, and it's going to win that battle. Which dog are you going to feed today? Are you going to feed the flesh? Are you going to feed the spirit? Well, I hope you'll read chapter 7 and feed the spirit. We'll see you on Monday.